Let's talk about an issue that's really important in this state, and I know is important to you, and that's the issue of immigration. The New York Times, I'm sure you read that occasionally, had an editorial talking about your mixed record on immigration. The issue of the Central American children being sent back, that came up during the debate. I've looked at the context of that. You actually said during your interview back then, you remember, with Christiane Amanpour, yeah, maybe it's safer here, but that's not the best solution. Do you regret taking that position? In other words, maybe these children, of course they were being used, right? But still, maybe they should have been allowed to stay here. It is safer here than a lot of the places they would have had to go back to.
Well, I'm glad you asked that. I don't have a mixed record on immigration. I voted for the 2007 immigration reform bill. Senator Sanders voted against it, and at the time had very harsh words about that vote. I was one of the original sponsors of the very first DREAM Act. I have a very consistent record about pushing toward comprehensive immigration reform with a path to citizenship. I've also said we need to stop the raids. We need to close down the family detention centers. We need to get private industry out of detention centers.
But what about this issue, Secretary?
But on this particular issue, of course, the young people who got here were going to be processed according to our law. I've called for counsel for every single one of them. But there were a lot of voices that were really concerned that if there wasn't some messaging sent to families in Central America, these poor families would be scraping together every penny they had, handing it over to smugglers, handing over their precious children. And we know some of those children don't make it, John. And some of them that do are traumatized because of the rapes and the beatings and the misbehavior that they are subjected to. So I was acting as I have acted my entire life as a child advocate. And I was glad that the Obama administration began moving resources to Honduras and El Salvador and Guatemala. So we would have government officials in those countries to try to process people in a more orderly way. So once they get here, of course, they're entitled to due process. They can't have due process if they don't have counsel. That's why I was the first to say, let's make sure they have counsel.